Hello Infiniteers, and welcome back to my Wall-E toy box. Today we are going to begin building the Axiom, which is the second toy box in my Wall-E adventure. And we had previously put down this toy box door underneath here and created the doorway to the Axiom. And so now we're going to go through this toy box door into that empty toy box. And while that's loading, I want to let you know that we're going to begin with the resort area of the ship. When I first began designing and building the Axiom, this is the area that I started with, because this was the area that posed the greatest challenge to me. I had a pretty good idea of how to build the hangar and the corridors, and even the robot repair ward, but I had no idea how I was going to tackle the resort. So this is where I started, and from here I built the rest of the ship. Rather than follow Wall-E's journey from the hangar to the resort, I went the opposite direction when I built the ship. And since that's how I know how to build it, that's what we're going to do here in the videos too. Here are some screenshots of this area from the movie. Wall-E enters this huge open area as he's riding the tram to the Axiom Bridge, which is the tower in the distance. The tram passes under this archway into this sprawling area. You can see that this area sits inside a dome, which has a sky projected onto the ceiling. As Wall-E enters this area, the camera pans around to give you a better look at it. There's a huge pool in the middle, surrounded by some smaller pools, and what looks like a lazy river that goes around this area. The tram runs around a raised area that surrounds all the pools, and you can see some ramps that run from the raised area down to the level where the pools are. Surrounding the raised platform are a bunch of tall buildings that enclose this area. You can get a closer look at those in the background of this shot. They almost look like hotel buildings with windows and balconies. And also, note that the building in the background on the left is different than the building on the right. So there's some variety here. And actually, the one on the left looks similar to one of the Incredibles buildings from the buildings drawer. And we'll look at that in a moment. Now from this shot, and the previous one, you can get a look at what is underneath the raised area where the tram runs. There's a wall with arched windows. Notice too that even though there are no trees or plant life to be seen, there are holograms of palm trees. And finally, we have this shot that looks back at the entrance to this area, where the tram came from that brought Wall-E here. Notice the angle of the buildings on either side of the gap in the middle of the screen. So this is what I wanted to try to build, and as I took stock of the kinds of buildings that we have to work with in the toy box, I noticed that the closest matches were this building from the buildings drawer. I'm going to drop one out over this way. And the other match are these Tomorrowland pieces, which when you line them up, kind of have that same similar kind of look. And that means in order to build this area, you must have these Tomorrowland power discs. The one on the left unlocks the terrain theme, as well as some new plant cluster customizations and a new road theme. And the one on the right unlocks a sky that most closely matches the one in the movie. Together, these discs also unlock the set of Tomorrowland buildings that we find here in Building Sets Group 2. So if you're on console, you must have these two power discs, or you will not have all of these buildings. Okay, so let's begin by setting the sky. And let me come back over here, out of the editor. And we'll place down my Tomorrowland Stratosphere power disc on the base. And let's go ahead and get an orientation for the toy box here. So the thing we note in the sky dome is the city off in the distance. And I kind of want the tower for the bridge to be lined up with that. So that's going to go on this end, which means the rest of the ship is going to be built over in that direction. Okay? So that's our goal. Now I'm going to set the theme on our terrain block here to the frosted white world. I'll set that to be my theme. And then we'll go down to the terrain drawer, and we're going to put down a few more of these huge blocks. So let me go off over to the right here and pick that up. That would be this one. Okay, so we have that. And this is going to be the floor for our huge open area for the resort. And then we're going to come up to the racetrack pieces. And we're going to scroll over to the right till we get to the racetrack curve. Excuse me. I've had a cold the past couple of weeks, so I apologize for coughing on the audio here. All right, so we're going to line this up like that. And this is going to be kind of the lazy river. This is what we're going to use for the lazy river that runs around the perimeter of the resort area. And the closest theme that we have for this would be the Tomorrowland theme. If I can find it. This could also work potentially, but I really don't like the look of that. I much prefer... Oh, I got to put that power disc down. That would help. All right, so this is the other Tomorrowland power disc, and I do not want to switch my world to that theme. All right, so that is the Tomorrowland tracks. I'll set that to be my theme. It doesn't look like water per se, but I think that's the closest thing we have that kind of gives the impression of water. So that's what we're going to pretend that is. Okay? And then I don't really have a large pool that I can use to put in the middle of this, so we're going to do something a little bit different with that. That'll probably be next week when we get to that. Okay, so the city's over there. I don't want to lose my orientation here. Now we're going to come down to the blocks drawer. Oops, right here. And on either side of the road there, we're going to place one of these blocks. And this is going to go right on the terrain seam. This is going to give us a spacer. And on the other side, we're just going to do one block. On either end. Okay. Then we'll go back down to the terrain drawer. And I'm looking for, not that one, the smaller one. I think we got to go to the right for, here we go. We're going to use this for our ramp going up to that little raised area where the tram runs. We're going to put one on the end of these blocks. The one in the movie was actually not solid underneath, but we have to work with what we got. All right, then we can take our little spacer blocks out here. Like so. Okay, so those are the ramps that will lead up to the raised area where the tram runs. Now on this end, where the city is, on the Sky Dome, we're going to start building our raised area. We're going to go back up to the racetrack pieces for that. Scroll over to the right to this wide track. We're going to put this right on the end of the ramp, just like that. And I'm going to change my theme now to be the Frosted White World Ivory Forest floor. All right, so we're going to put one there, do the same thing on the other end over here. Oops, not that one. It's got to come off the end over there like that. And then scroll over to the right till we get to the short wide turn. I'm going to put one of these on either end like that. Same thing here. And then go to the long wide track, and that should connect those up like that. Okay. And there we have the raised area that's going to run around the perimeter of the resort. Okay. Now, let's go to the blocks drawer. And the control tower, we don't really have anything that looks like that control tower. And we're going to have to build something ourselves. And to do that, we're going to use basic blocks. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to put this right on the center of the toy box here, lined up with the seam there in the middle of the screen. And notice how this is placed on the road. We're going to raise this up one nudge and drop it. And we're going to style this to use the Plastic 2 theme. Okay. And then over toward the right, we're going to use this long support arch like that and like that. Don't use the short one. That's only 2 blocks wide. Use the long one, which is 3 blocks wide. And then on either end of that, we'll put one of these. And we're going to fill some details in underneath here. We'll put a doorway underneath that, probably next time. But for right now, we'll do that. Okay, in those screenshots, there were layers of buildings behind this thing. And so that's what we want to start to build now. So I'm going to come over here and grab this Tomorrowland building piece. And we're going to start building the perimeter of the buildings that run around the perimeter. And we're going to put 2 of those on either side, centered on that block in the middle, like you see there. And then grab this, put one on either side. All right, so this will be the first level of buildings. Now the second level, we're going to come back here behind this, and we're going to run these down like that. Okay, and we're just going to go that far with it. And we'll put 2 levels of these up here, like that, followed by these on either end. Okay, and then we're going to go to the back and put another layer of buildings. Actually, it's going to go right here. 1, 2, 3, like this. Yeah. Like that. Okay. Put that too high. With a round one, whoops, on either end. And so you can see we're kind of building some layered buildings there. Kind of similar to what's in the movie. We can't match it identically, but we can get pretty close. Back down to the basic blocks, and let's put a spacer in here. We're going to drop this right here and put one on either end. All right. And now we are going to come over and grab this building. The part of this building that I'm interested in is this upper part. I'm not interested in the doors that are down here. So we're going to have to drop this kind of down behind the terrain here a little bit. So this is going to sit in here. Oops, if I can get that lined up. There we go. And lined up with the height of the building behind it. So that gives us kind of what we need there. We can use the part that we need without using the entire thing. And you'll notice this comes all the way out to the edge of the terrain on both sides. There's a little bit of a gap here, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. We're going to stick some blocks under here in a little bit. Okay? So we can take these out. And there we go. We have some layers of buildings there. And I think that looks very similar to the movie. It looks pretty decent. One thing I don't like, though, is the gap between the buildings here. You can kind of see airway behind them. And so to cover that up, if we come down to the basic blocks, go left, we're going to use some wall pieces to take care of that for us. And I think that'll make this look a little bit better. That covers up the seam, and it helps make this look like it's one building. And we may have to cut that off, actually, because we don't want to go all the way down there. So we'll have to do that with it. Because we got to only come down to the level of the road here. But that gives you kind of a nice little finishing edge there that I like. And we can do the same thing over here. Like that. Okay. And for the tower in the middle, there is a building that we can use from the Coruscant buildings. That would be this one right here. And we can drop that in here like that. So there we go. There's our tower. Okay. Now, continuing around the perimeter there, let's pick up this little block here to get back to that part of the blocks drawer. And we're going to put another spacer in over here. And let me get my screen grab here. Yep, I'm going to put it like that. Pick this building up, put it back, bring this around the corner, and we're going to line this up like you see there, but one nudge to the right. You notice that comes all the way to the edge of the terrain on this side. Okay. Put one of these over here on this side as well. And then we're going to pick this piece up, put it back. And we'll come over here and line up the right edge of that with our spacer block. And this should go 4 buildings high. That lines up with the road there. So like that. And we can delete our little spacers. Now in the movie, there was kind of a little bit of a different kind of building here in the middle of this. So we're going to use this for that. And I'm going to line this up with the front edge of that, come all the way down to road level. And we're going to do that. Just to break up all of this flat window stuff here. And then row of 3, repeat that all the way down. Like that. Okay. Pick this up, put it back once again. We'll use this for our spacer block. Isn't that starting to look pretty cool? I was quite pleased when I was playing around with this the first time and got this to look decent. I really like that. Alright, so we're going to put one of these out on the corner of the block here like that. Come over and grab this piece and pick it up, put it back without moving it. And then we're going to slide this over and bring it up a little bit to the top of that block, because we don't want everything to be at the same level here. We're going to put 2 of these side by side. Okay. And then we'll pick up our little spacer block here, move this to the opposite corner. And then we'll pick this up, put it back, get back to that part of the editor, and we'll do the same sort of thing over here. And this time, we're going to put 2 of these in here like this. Okay. Come back over here to this guy. This time we'll put this in this way. Go down to road level. Like that. And then back over to this. And we're going to put this up against that seam between the 2 buildings, positioned like you see here. We're going to put 1, 2 with the turn. Since we can't make diagonal buildings, and we can't put these at an angle, we have to kind of layer them a little bit to go around the perimeter. This is starting to look pretty good though, huh? I like the way that looks. Alright, and then we have that archway in the middle with those diagonal walls. And so to create that, since we don't really have one of these pieces that's angled, I mean, we do have this, but that's just not going to work real well. we're going to have to kind of create an angle ourselves. And the way we're going to do this is by staggering these things. So we're going to start with this guy. We're going to put that in there like that because we're going to have this gap behind that building. And we're going to put down another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a total of 6. Okay? And then we're going to drop this down back up part way and put that under here like that. And then we're going to do the same thing again. Like that. And then when we come over here and we add this, that gives us something that looks a little bit like that angled building that goes around the gap. And then basically you're just going to mirror what we did on the other side there. That'll be necessary for the next area that we build here. Okay? So there you go. That's how you build that side. Now, for this side, you're going to do the exact same thing, but you're going to mirror what you did over there. Okay? And so you're going to follow the same pattern, the same spacers. You're just going to copy what's over there and do these buildings in the same order. And I won't do that on this video, but it'll be there for the next one. And then what we're going to do is come back to the terrain drawer, and let's pick this piece up here and put this back. We'll scroll over to this piece here. And we're going to come over to the corner, all the way up against that building, and like that, and it's sitting on the big terrain block there below it. And we're going to put those in there like that. And that fills in that area of the floor. Okay, so there we go. And how are we doing on time? Well, we're getting down towards the end. So I think this is a good stopping point for today. Next time we will add some details and finish up this area and then move on to the next area of the Axiom. Until then, I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed seeing how I recreated the resort area of the Axiom in the Disney Infinity 3.0 toy box. We're not done yet, but this is a pretty good start. If you did enjoy this video today, please give it a like and leave a comment to let me know what you think of it. And if there's something you might have done differently for those buildings in the background, let me know that too. That's all for me today. See you next time.